On the line right now, well, he's a smart guy. He's a handsome guy. He never, ever wears a tie. And each and every day, one can only assume that he must suppress the urge to just backhand Bob Beckel. He is Eric Bolling from The Five on Fox News. How are you, Eric?
Good morning, guys. Everything's great. Everything's great. Yeah,
I mean, do you ever, Bob, I know Bob, you know Bob. He's sort of, do you ever just like, Bob?
Yeah, I did that once. I smacked him with the back of my hand, and he dropped an F-bomb on air that went through, and so it's the last time I'm allowed to
so
do that.
you can't touch him anymore. Well, on one hand, when you're on The Five, you got to deal with Bob Beckel. But then, that is made up for by the fact that you also get to sit on the set with the lovely Dana Perino.
Yes, both Dana Perino, Kimberly Guilfoyle,
Right.
and Andrea Tanteros. Yep, not bad.
Yeah, you're like,
and let's not forget the lovely Greg Gutfeld.
Yeah, would you say the lovely? No, the funny Greg Gutfeld.
Yeah,
let's do it. He wouldn't be. I'm sure he'd rather be described as funny than lovely. Yeah.
Well, listen, you have a wildly successful show there. Congratulations on that, Eric. Let us talk about what's going on in the news right now. I want to ask you about this story that was very much in the Washington Post today, sort of breaking some new developments about the NSA and how many times they accessed records, communications, emails, phone calls. They collected them, they stored them, they distributed them, and they weren't supposed to actually have done it with those particular entries because they had not followed the rules under which they're supposed to operate.
Yeah, so let's take a step back. Yesterday we booked this radio hit, and this news hadn't broken yet. Now, if you go back a couple of months, I was the guy who sat down with Lon Snowden, which is Ed Snowden's father. First one, I snuck into D.C. one night. He wanted to do it in the middle of the night. We taped an interview, and we talked about this. I've been the biggest defender of the Fourth Amendment, bar none, on television. I think the NSA, since this thing broke, Ed Snowden shined a light on something that the NSA was doing illegally. They were violating the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. They were wiretapping. They say they weren't, but now we found that the FBI has told us that they are actually listening in on some conversations. They were data mining innocent Americans. Now, the FISA court, which is what they used to get the permission to do what they're doing, says that you have to have one person who is a foreigner. That's why it's called the Foreign Surveillance Act. And what they were doing, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, they were taking just innocent Americans. They were data mining millions upon millions of Americans. It was against the law. I fought to shine the light on what they were doing. People said I was a jerk. They said I was against security if I believe that. Well, no, I'm not against security. I believe that we need to use all legal methods to track down terrorists and make the country safer. But the emphasis has to be legal. They need probable cause for listening in on your conversations or even taking your data. They didn't have probable cause. Now, finally, last night, the Washington Post breaks the story wide open, proving that the NSA has been doing literally thousands upon thousands upon thousands of investigations when they had no legal right to do it.
Yeah, and Eric Bolling, it is part of the argument whenever people raise this and suggest maybe this isn't the soundest policy, and maybe this is a concern for citizens and their privacy. You're right, you nail it. They basically claim that you're on the side of the terrorists almost. I mean, there has to be a more civil way to have these discussions so we can open up and not say that you're immediately soft on Al-Qaeda because you happen to think that maybe the Fourth Amendment is at play here.
No, I despise Al-Qaeda. I want to kill I want to drone Al-Qaeda. But the most important thing you need to understand, it's an Al-Qaeda member. It's not an American citizen. It's not an innocent American citizen, and therein lies the difference. And that's where the NSA decided to hide. It was actually what they did was James Clapper came out and lied to a Senate panel, saying no, we're not doing it. And then they started to hide behind if you're for terrorism, then I guess you're. If you have a problem with what we're doing, you're for terrorism. No, it's a false argument. No, we hate terrorism. We don't want to die. I watch friends burn in the World Trade Center. I watched people jumping out the window. I was there when it happened. Literally watching this go on. I hate terrorists. I want them all to die, but I don't want American citizens' privacy to be violated indiscriminately violated on a day-to-day basis in the name of that and hiding behind that. They hide behind the Patriot Act. They said, you know what? Bush did it as a Patriot Act. BS. The guy who wrote the Patriot Act said, no, they've taken the Patriot Act and they've blown it apart. They're violating the Fourth Amendment. They can't do that.
All right. Hey, what do you think about this Million Muslim March that everybody's talking about?
Yeah, I called one of the two organizers of the Million Muslim March, and I said, just give me a sense of what this is all about. And he said, well, since 9/11, America's changed. He started in with the privacies being violated. As I spoke to him longer and longer, I said, well, who's going to show up? And they said, well, 9/11 truthers of D.C., 9/11 truthers of Chicago.
No way.
No.
And all of a sudden, I realized what this is going to be. This is going to be, hey, it's not our fault. 19 Muslims flew planes into the World Trade Center, killed nearly 3,000 Americans. Now they're trying to divert the attention, saying maybe it was the U.S. government. It's going to be a big Alex Jones conspiracy theory convention, which I beg Fox to send me to, because I'd love to sit there and walk around and tell those morons what actually happened on 9/11.
Hey, Eric Bolling, our guest is Eric Bolling from The Five on Fox News. Eric, apparently you used to play with the Pittsburgh Pirates?
I did.
In the Major League Baseball? You must be pumped about this. I mean, they've lost a few in the last week, but I can't believe it. They're still in first place, and the calendar says it's August. This is unheard of.
Well, as many New York Met fans know, it's still August. Come talk to me in October. But yeah, it's great for the city. It's a great place. I mean, I was there in the old days in the old stadium, and it was a different world.
What do you think then about all of this stuff about human growth hormones?
Yeah, were you on the juice there, Bolling?
No,
were you steroids or HGH? What did you use?
I sit next to Beckel. Now, I came up right as actually probably pre-steroids. I graduated college in 1984. So it was just after me is when the Balco came out and all the human growth hormone stuff. I sit next to Beckel, who's, I don't know how, he's got to be a good 10 or 15 years older than me, who claims he was on steroids. And I said, Bob, they weren't even invented when you were playing football. So it's actually
I
funny.
think Beckel is still on the juice. Look at him. He's the perfect human specimen. He's just like Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
I would tell you, though, where I stand on that is, and I get a lot of heat for this, I have a 15-year-old son.
Right.
But I say, if these guys want to, if they want to juice, I mean, why are we trying to regulate it?
Finally, my position is validated by the great Eric Bolling. Eric, you and I, see, we're ideologically in sync there, Bolling.
Well, I was with you till then. Okay, well, Eric, it's a pleasure. Please come back.
Great talking to you guys.
Thanks, Eric.
Eric Bolling from Fox News and The Five, and cashing in on the